I'm Sarah Perks, Programme Director at Cornerhouse and Co-Curator of Contemporary Art Iraq. I'm delighted to introduce my co-curator, Adalet Garmiany, and leading British sculptor and artist, Richard Wilson. Adalet is also an artist and he runs a company called Art Roll. So Adalet, can you tell us, first of all, a little bit about Art Roll and then how this exhibition started?
I founded Art Roll in 2004. It's a UK-based organization. Basically, our main mission is to build a bridge between UK, Iraq, Middle East, and the United States as well. Conversations started initially 2 years ago. First, when I dropped the email to you, Sarah, we're both interested with the idea, and we met up a number of times and we discussed the possibilities. If it's surreal or is really practical to be able to bring a real artwork from a country like Iraq.
I think a crucial stage in the development of the exhibition was when Adalet invited me to Iraq to the Post-War Art and Culture Festival, which was held in Suleimania at the Red Jail last November. And as well as meeting lots of Iraqi artists and understanding a lot more about what was happening in Iraq and Iraqi Kurdistan, I met lots of other people there, including leading British sculptor Richard Wilson.
I met Adalet through a dear friend, and Adalet at that time had started to think about Art Roll and how that, sort of little germinating moment of Art Roll could expand. And the first notion was to sort of take an arts delegation out, along with local participants from, I say the region actually, from Suleimania. We put on a performance which engaged us with a little bit of the history of the Red Jail, and also to sort of exorcise in some way part of that unfortunate history and deliver an announcement that this was now a creative space to be used ultimately as a big festival space, and in the future as an arts space.
This exhibition is full of artwork from across Iraq. There is a majority or a kind of focus on Suleimania and Iraqi Kurdistan in the northeast. Could you just explain why that is, Adalet?
The region's got their autonomy since 1991. So it's almost 20 years they have sort of the stabilities. When we see this exhibition and what we saw before throughout our project with the area, there is a good movement, and you can see across the country artists are passionate and they want to get involved more with the outside of Iraq, and they want to know what's happening with the rest of the world, because Iraq generally has a very powerful history, especially with the visual art. I mean, in 1965, Henry Moore was invited to go to Baghdad, taking part of the Baghdad Biennale. So basically, there is a history there.
Despite our best efforts to invite some of the artists and also some academics to talk about contemporary art in Iraq, sadly all their visas were declined, so we haven't been able to bring them to this opening and to this opening weekend of events.
Well, it's unfortunate, number one, because I was going to meet up with friends again. It's obviously becoming much, much stricter.
It is.
Like, Iraqi artists have been here a couple of years ago, part of the early Art Roll.
The state of the country like Iraq or Afghanistan is not easier to set up any nature of art and culture project without having a support from the local government as well as the British government itself. So they have been absolutely wonderfully supporting our projects logistically, financially as well. And this time, what we're talking about, the issue is not about just these 5 artists, it's about what art and art scenes facing in the United Kingdom.
And the artists aren't allowed to be here to divulge those secrets about how that work comes about, and some of the stories about why that imagery is on the walls here in Manchester.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, in terms of the nature of this exhibition, we certainly with Cornerhouse say this is a since first Gulf War. This is the first time such a massive exhibition taking place in the UK, from Iraq. But as far as I'm concerned, if you look at the nature of the work, and when we talk about the new medium and conceptual art, generally this form of art is very recent in Iraq, and as we said, especially in Kurdistan, Iraq. So if you look at the aspect, it's the first time for the history of both countries to set up such an exhibition, and given a great opportunity for the Iraqi artists, their work, their voice, their visions reach UK and reach rest of the world, as well as to give the great opportunity to the British public, British art, and generally to know, to come forward to see, it's not Iraq, it's not what we see normally in the telly, explosion and killing and instability. There is a life there, and people can come to see through the films and through the method of how they interpret their life. And what's great about the nature of this project too, also, we are connected to the local.
Yeah, absolutely. And artists are really well placed to do that, to be able to communicate their ideas and thoughts. And I really hope that people come into this exhibition will be really impressed by the diversity, not just of the various mediums that have been used by the artists, but the issues that they tackle, the concepts. I think it will really, address people's, whether they realised or not, a sort of stereotypical attitude that they had towards Iraq. Obviously, not helped by media coverage being exclusively about conflict.
Because each artist, especially, they've been selected from different parts of Iraq, with their different age, different experience, different arts form. Each one of them tell a different story, and I think it's a great opportunity through to see first what the level of art looks like, to see what the form of art they use, as well as what's the theme and the vision behind their work, and to learn about what artists and art have done in the country. And I think it's a great opportunity for the public in this country to come to visit this exhibition.
Just thinking from things you've been saying, and certainly from comments from earlier on in the conversation, the one thing I think an audience ought to think about and respect here, although the work is here in Manchester in England, a lot of these artists are based back in Iraq, working with no prospect of actually knowing what gallery this is going to go into, because they don't have that notion of the gallery. There are one or two spaces, but there's high competition. A lot of this work is produced outside of any commercial thought. These artists are making it out of an honesty of wanting and a need to say something and to talk about something, about the situation they're in. It's a very important thing that anyone coming to this show should have a look at.
So I'd like to thank artist Richard Wilson and artist curator Adalet Garmiany. And I'm Sarah Perez from Cornerhouse, co-creator of Contemporary Art Iraq. Thank you.